Hi, welcome to Westmoreland Clean Waste Recycling Center. We're really glad you could join us today because we'd love to tell you all about our foam recycling program. What in the world is foam, you ask, and why should it be recycled? Well, foam, or what is commonly referred to as styrofoam, is the block packaging or the foam food trays that we get at the grocery store. It's made from plastic. It's actually called polystyrene. And they call it expanded polystyrene because it's puffed up with air. It's very good at protecting material that is shipped. It protects our food when we purchase it at the grocery store. It protects our hands when we buy a hot cup of coffee at the convenience store. The problem is it's very difficult to recycle, so it usually ends up in a landfill. People get very upset about having to throw it into a landfill. So that's why we're excited to be able to say, hey, you don't have to do that anymore. You can bring it to Westmoreland Clean Waste Recycling Center where we can recycle it and it can be reused and made into new products. That's what we'd like to talk to you about today. One of the reasons foam is difficult to recycle is because it's all air. It's the polystyrene, which is a type of plastic, is puffed up with air to make it light and it protects our material. But when you try to collect it and transport it, because it is all air, it's extremely expensive and it just makes it too costly to collect for recycling. So the reason our program is so valuable and we're so excited about it is we got a densifier that we can handle the fact that it's all air. The densifier actually melts the plastic, melts the polystyrene, which removes all of the air, makes it very dense and very compact, which makes it much more recyclable. We will be able then to ship out large loads of the densified polystyrene, ship much more of it at a reduced cost and make the product much more valuable once we're able to densify it. One of the main reasons that being able to recycle and densify polystyrene foam is that unless it's able to be collected for recycling, it ends up in the landfill. Once it ends up in the landfill, it takes up lots and lots of room because there's so much of it out there that people are using now, and it never goes away. So it's going to stay in that landfill forever. And the bottom line is with just about any other recyclable, when it ends up in the landfill, it doesn't mean anything to anybody. It's not valuable to anybody. If you're able to collect material and recycle it, whether it be polystyrene foam or whether it's the plastic bottles or metal cans, it's only valuable if it gets collected for recycling and somebody else can make something else out of it. So the fact that we now have the ability to collect the foam for recycling not only keeps a tremendous amount of the material out of the landfill, then it becomes a valuable product to remake into other products that are useful to somebody. That's really what's important to us and why we're so thrilled to have this program. When you have foam to recycle, you want to think what kind of foam actually can be recycled. A lot of people don't think about it, but there are actually two different types of foam that we collect for recycling. There's the block styrofoam that you get in your shipping boxes to protect the stuff that you get from Amazon or wherever that comes, your TVs. That's a great example. The TVs that you get have the big block styrofoam around it. The other type of foam is the food service trays. That's the egg cartons and the meat trays, and the vegetables come in all different colors. It could be black or pink or green. That's very common, and just about everybody has that kind of foam tray at home. They could also be the foam cups, the foam plates that we use for picnics. So there's a lot of food service foam that people have, even if they don't shop online or get things shipped and they end up with this big block styrofoam. Those are the two types of foam that we can collect for recycling. We're talking about the types of foam that can be recycled, the food service trays and the block foam. There are some types of foam you may not be aware of that cannot be recycled. This type of foam, which is a foam board, it's a colored foam. It could be blue, sometimes it's green, sometimes it's pink. This is actually used for building insulation. It's a trademark from the manufacturer. Dow Chemical actually makes this type of foam for insulation. It cannot be recycled because it has a fire retardant in it. So if it makes sense, if we're densifying the foam with a heat process to densify and condense it, something with a heat retardant in it is not going to densify. So this type of foam is not recyclable. There's another type of foam, which is kind of interesting. We started to see it here at the recycling center. It looks like styrofoam. It looks like expanded foam. Couldn't tell the difference, but we started to get it in and we said, oh look, this is different. It's flexible, it squeezes. This is not expanded foam that we can recycle. It's a different material. It's actually made from a different type of plastic. It can not be mixed in the densifier with the block foam that we can recycle. So anything that's flexible or that squeezes is not recyclable. This is a type of foam that, to all intents and purposes, and we looked at it, we thought it was the polystyrene, expanded polystyrene, and we were going to put it into our machine to densify it, and one of our staff looked at it and said, hey, there's a number 5 on here. Number 5 is a different type of plastic than the number 6 polystyrene. It's also a little bit flexible, it squeezes. Wouldn't know it to look at it, but number 5 foam like this is not recyclable. So if you can catch it before you bring it here, throw it away, we can't take it. When you're looking through your food service trays, you may come across something like this that looks like a food service package that you'd get at a fast food restaurant. But when we got it here and we looked closely at it as we were starting to densify some of our foam, we realized this isn't foam, it's paper. It's compressed paper. So we had to pull it out of our foam bin to be recycled, but we can recycle it for cardboard or mixed paper. So bring it to us. If it's clean, no food residue, but we can still recycle it, but it is not foam. Just be aware of that when you're going through your food packaging. Here's something that it would be popular. It's a craft item. People that make their own crafts, whether they get things from Michael's or wherever it happens to be. I think this was part of a wreath. You can hear it's very solid, it doesn't bend, but it is also not polystyrene. It's not expanded polystyrene. It's another type of foam. It's not recyclable. So our mantra here in the recycling world is, if in doubt, throw it out. Something like this or some other piece of foam that you may not know what to do with, if you don't know what it is, it's best to throw it away and only bring us material that you know can be recycled. Packaging peanuts are also not acceptable in our recycling program. They're actually not polystyrene, they're made from a different material. So unfortunately, we are unable to accept packaging peanuts. Here's another piece I'm going to show you, one more piece that cannot be recycled. This is black, and all expanded foam doesn't have to be white. There are different colors, so that's not what triggered this. It's squishy, it's bendy, so this is not the right kind of foam that we can recycle. Also, it has this paper backing on it. The paper backing automatically eliminates it from us being able to recycle it in our densifier. As you're gathering your foam to bring to us, keep in mind that you have to remove anything that is not the foam. Paper, cardboard, tape, labels, all that has to be removed. All we can take is the foam itself. If you do bring it to us with those on it, my staff then has to spend a little bit extra time removing the labels. If by chance it gets past our staff before it goes into the densifier, it can really do some damage. It contaminates the densified foam that we're able to then sell to somebody else to make another product out of. And then everything has to be thrown away. Any bit of a contamination ruins the whole batch. So we don't want to do that. I'll give you some examples. There's a box, or the lid, excuse me, from a cooler type thing, and you can see where there are labels on it, the shipping labels and whatever these different labels on it that the shipping company put on it. Those have to be removed. We would prefer that you remove those before you bring them to us. Here's a piece of packaging that probably came with some kind of electronic device, had some cardboard and some tape on it to strengthen the container. Take that off. If that gets past us, that'll really gum up the works if we throw it into the densifier with this cardboard and tape on it. So please go through all the pieces of styrofoam you have, take off any tape or cardboard. We love food service trays. That's one of the reasons we got this program started. One of our partners, as a matter of fact, it was the company that enabled us to purchase this densifier, was the Food Service Packaging Institute. They're all about us getting the word out to recycle food service trays. But one of the most important things you need to do when you have your food service trays is to make sure they're clean. This sample happens to have liquid food residue in it. That's a no-no. Please don't bring us any trays that have food residue in them. Again, it will contaminate the load. It will cause a lot of problems at our recycling facility, attract vermin or whatever. So please, we want your food service trays, but make sure they are clean of all food residue. Now, that being said, stains are fine. This cup had some kind of a spaghetti or something in it, the tomato sauce, that left a red residue on the foam. That's fine. But crumbs, liquids, any actual food residue, please wash off before you bring us the foam. The machine itself is fairly simple. The foam is densified by heating it and compacting it. So when we get the foam in here at the recycling center, we bring it over to our machine. Once the foam gets inside the machine, there are rollers with big teeth on it that chop up the foam into smaller pieces. There's also a heating element in the bottom of the machine, so that as the foam is chopped into little pieces, it's forced into this heating area where it's compacted and extruded out the side of the machine in the shape of similar to a pool noodle. And then we put it into these forms where we let it get hard and then stack it and put it aside so that we can eventually sell it.